Good morning once again, everyone. We are now at our final week for finals. So, week 17. So, for week 17, our topic is about stock and bonds. So, we will illustrate stock and bonds. For this, we can also distinguish between stocks and bonds. So, once again, I will show you a video discussion prepared by Miss April Belaras for week 17.
Text me if you have any questions regarding our weekly discussions, right? So we are now on our week 17 of our discussion. Wow. So this is now our final week for this semester for the subject business math. Okay, so marami na ba kayong natutunan since week 1? Okay? So from basic to difficult. Ayan. So applications na lang yung mga final weeks natin, right? Okay, so for this week, we are going to discuss about stock and bonds. Okay, stocks and bonds. Okay, and stocks and bonds. So what are the things that we are going to learn about stocks and bonds? Of course, so after our discussion, you're able to define the types of stocks and the terms in bonds. All right, so determine the common terms in stocks and bonds. Determine the current yield on a stock. What else? Find the stock's price earning ratio and compute for the value of cost, proceeds, and gain or loss of stock transactions. Okay, and also give examples of stocks and bonds problems in real life situations. So how are you going on how are you going to apply this one in real life situation? Okay, so let's start. So we are going to investigate stocks or equities in this final week of our subject for this semester, which represents an ownership, okay, ownership share of a corporation, and bonds or debts, okay, which represents a loan in the form of an interest-bearing note in which the bond buyer lends money to the bond issuer, okay. So if the companies raises or if the company raises money by means of selling shares of ownership, okay, of ownership to finance operate, ayan, of ownership. So we call this as stock, okay? Ayan. So companies can raise money either by borrowing or selling shares of stocks to finance operations, plan expansion, and others. So if the company raises money by means of selling shares of ownership, so these ownership shares are called stocks. Okay? So tinatawag natin na stocks. And the buyers of the stock are called the stockholders. Okay? And the stockholders will receive a stock certificates verifying the number of shares of stock they own. And sometimes companies raise money by selling bonds instead of stocks. Okay? And this bond is a promise from the company to pay the face value to the bond owner and at a future date along with the interest payment at a stated rate. Okay, at a stated rate. And so when the company issue bonds, ayan, so when the company issue bonds, they are traded as a stock is. Okay? And they are traded as stock is. So if company reach bankruptcy, the bondholders have the first claim to the assets of the company, and that is before the stockholders. And as with the stock, changes in bonds prices vary accordingly to supply and demand. Okay? So brokers also charge commissions on bond trading, and these commissions also vary. Okay? So nakadepende. And we have the par value or face value of a bond is the original amount of money borrowed by a company. So most companies issues par value of 1,000 pesos. All right? Yun. So those are the basic concepts about stocks and bonds. So computing the dividends on preferred and common stock So, ano ba ang dividends? Dividends are distribution of a company's profits to its
Sorry for that.
shareholders. Okay? Okay, ownership to
So let's go back to our discussion. Sorry for that inconvenience that happened. So let's go back to our first topic, stocks and bonds.
finance of ownership. So we call this as stock. Okay? Ayan. So companies can raise money either by borrowing or selling shares of stocks to finance operations, plan expansion, and others. So if the company raises money by means of selling shares of ownership, so these ownership shares are called stocks. Okay? So tinatawag natin na stocks. And the buyers of the stock are called the stockholders. Okay? And the stockholders will receive a stock certificates verifying the number of shares of stock they own. And sometimes companies raise money by selling bonds instead of stocks. Okay? And this bond is a promise from the company to pay the face value to the bond owner and at a future date along with the interest payment at a stated rate. Okay, at a stated rate. And so when the company issue bonds, so when the company issue bonds, they are traded as a stock is. Okay? They are traded as stock is. So if company reach bankruptcy, the bondholders have the first claim to the assets of the company, and that is before the stockholders. And as with the stock, changes in bonds prices vary accordingly to supply and demand. Okay? So brokers also charge commissions on bond trading, and these commissions also vary. Okay? So nakadepende. And we have the par value or face value of a bond is the original amount of money borrowed by a company. So most companies issues par value of 1,000 pesos. All right? Yun. So those are the basic concepts about stocks and bonds. So computing the dividends on preferred and common stock. So ano ba ang dividends? Dividends are distribution of a company's profits to its shareholders. Okay? So sino naman yung mga shareholders? So the shareholders are person who owns shares of stocks in a corporation. Okay? So ayan. So kung meron kang shares of stocks sa isang corporation, you are a shareholders. Okay? At may marireceive kang dividends. Ayan. And we have preferred stock. Yeah. Ayan. There are two types of stock. Sorry. The preferred stock and the common stock. So, pag preferred stock, this is a class of corporate stock in which the investor has preferential rights over the common shareholders to dividends and a company's assets. Okay? And for common stock naman, so this is a class of corporate in which the investor has voting rights and shares directly in the success or failure of the business. Okay? Yan. So, par value is an arbitrary monetary figure specified in the corporate charter for each share of stock and printed on each stock certificate. Okay? So, the dividend for par value preferred stock is quoted as a percent of the par value. Okay? And alternatively, no par value stock is a stock that does not have a par value, and the dividends is quoted as peso amount per share. Okay? Yan. So, peso amount per share. Yung preferred stock kanina, percent of the par value. Okay? So, cumulative preferred stock is a type of preferred stock that receives a dividend each year. Okay? And we have the dividend in arrears, which is the amount of dividends that accumulate and are owed to cumulative preferred shareholders before Okay? Before, for past years. Okay? So, for past years in which no dividends are paid. Okay? So, preferred stocks are categorized as non-participating and participating stock. So, ano ba ang non-participating stock? So, this means that shareholders receive only fixed dividend. Okay? Ayan. And for participating stock naman, shareholder may receive additional dividends if the company perform well. Yun. So, kapag nag-perform ng mabuti yung company mo, marami siyang kinita, you will receive additional dividend at tinatawag siyang participating stock. Okay? Yun. And the convertible preferred means the stock may exchange for a specified number of common shares in the future. Okay? Yan. Now, let us have an example for the dividends on preferred and common stock. Example. The AUS Enterprises has 1,500,000 pesos shares, or 500, yeah, sorry, 1,500,000 pesos, and there's no peso, shares, okay, of common stock outstanding. So if a dividend of 30 million pesos was declared by the company directors last year, what are the dividends per share of common stock? Okay? So dahil yung company, so because the company has no preferred stock, the common shareholders will receive the entire dividends. Okay? So the shareholders will receive the entire dividend. So we have our given. Ano na pala? So for our given to this problem, okay? So we have the total common dividend, which is 30 million pesos, and then the number of shares for common, which is the 1,500,000 pesos, thousand. Okay, so we're going to find for the dividend per share. Okay, so that is equal to the total common dividend over the number of shares. Okay, for common stock. Right, so all we have to do is to substitute the values. So the total common dividend is 30 million, and then the number of shares is 1,500,000. Okay. And so this is equal to 20 pesos per share. Okay. So the dividend per stock of share is 20 pesos. So ayun. So that is the dividends per share of stock. Okay. Another one. So we have Zero Corporation. Zero Corporation has 70,000 shares of 2,000 peso par value, 5% cumulative preferred stock of 250,000 shares of common stock. Although no dividend was declared last year, a 25 million pesos dividend was declared this year. Determine the amount of dividends due the preferred shareholders and the dividend per share of common stock. Okay, so determine the amount of dividends due. So take note that preferred stock is cumulative and the company did not pay a dividend in the previous year. Okay? So the preferred shareholders are entitled to the dividends in arrears and the dividend for the current period. Okay, so yung mga given natin dito, we have the par value, 2,000 pesos. Number of shares for preferred stock is 70,000. Dividend rate is 5% or 0.05 in decimal. And the number of shares for common stock is 250,000. Okay, so we have to compute for the dividend per share. Ayan, so this is equal to 2,000 times 0.05. So this is equal to 100 pesos dividend. Okay? So 100 pesos dividend per share. Yan. And the total preferred dividend per year, so that is the equal to the product of numbers of shares and dividend per share. So yung number of shares natin is 70,000 tapos yung dividend per share na 100. So this is 7 million pesos. Okay? So the total preferred dividend for every year is 7,000 million. Okay? Another one is the total dividend. Ayan, yung arrears plus the current year. Wait lang. Okay, so for total preferred dividend, so we have the arrears, which is 7. Okay, yung 7 million, di ba? Plus 7 million for the current year. Kaya this is equal to 14 million pesos total preferred dividend. And for the total common dividend, so all we have to do is to get the difference between the total preferred dividend and total dividend. So this is 25 million yung total dividend for this current year, and then the total preferred, which is 14 million. Okay? Kaya this is now equal to 11 million pesos. Okay, so the amount of dividends due for preferred stock is 11 million pesos. And the dividend per share for common stock, okay, so substitute lang natin yung mga values. So this is equal to 11 million over 250,000 number of shares. So this is now equal to 44 pesos per share. Okay? Yeah. So the dividend per share of common stock is 44 pesos. Okay? Now computing the current yield for stock. So the current yield shows how much dividend you can get as a percentage of the current price of the stock per share. Okay? So if a stock pays no dividend, there is no current yield. Ayun. And the current yield is computed in this formula. Current yield is equal to the annual dividend per share over the current price per share. Okay, let us have an example. If RFS Corporation paid a dividend of 142 pesos and 60 centavos per share last year, if yesterday's last price was 2,300 pesos, what is the current yield on the stock? Okay, so what is the current yield? So before that, identify muna natin yung mga given. So we have the annual dividend per share. Okay, so which is 142 pesos and 60 centavos, and then the current price per share is 2,300 pesos. So in computing for the current yield, we're going to use this formula. Okay, so just substitute the given information. This is 142.60 and 2,300. So this is equal to 0.062 or 6.2%. Okay, so that is the current yield rate per share, 6.2%. Okay. Another one is the price earnings ratio of stock. So another thing that some people use to help them decide which stock to buy is the price earning ratio. Okay. So we're going to use this formula in computing for the price earnings ratio. Example, Eliza would like to own stock in SSS and GSIS, but she does not know if either stock is a good buy. So what she can do is to look at the price earnings ratio for each. Okay? For yung letter A, SSS, the price share is 2,464, annual net income per share is 88 pesos. For GSIS, the price per share is 1,900 pesos, and the annual net income per share is 76. Okay? So we are going to find for the price earnings. Okay, so price earnings. Ayan, so we're going to use the formula. Ayan, so for letter A, price earnings ratio for SSS. So we have the given current price per share and then the earnings per share. Okay, so this is the formula. So substitute lang natin. So this is 2,464 over 88. So yeah, this is 28. Okay. So the price earnings ratio of SSS stock is 28 times per share. Okay. At saka yung GSIS naman, the price earnings ratio for GSIS. So we have the given current price per share and the earnings per share. So this is the formula. Substitute lang natin. So this is 1,976. So this is 25. Okay, so the price earnings ratio, GSIS stock is 25 times per share. Okay. Another one is computing the cost proceeds, gain or loss of a stock transaction. Okay, so what are proceeds? Proceeds are the amount of money that an investor receives after selling a stock. So it is computed as the value of shares less the broker's commission. Okay. And the stockbroker's commission is the fee charges for assisting in the purchase of sale of shares of stock. Okay, a percent of the cost of the stock transaction. And a stockbroker is a professional in stock market trading and investment who acts as an agent in the selling and buying of stocks or other securities. Okay, and the gain or loss is the difference between the cost of purchasing the stock and the proceeds received when selling the stock. Okay. Ayan. And one more factor. Ayun. So, one more factor. So, there is one more factor affecting the commission is whether the amount of shares purchased is around lot. Okay, so are you familiar with this term in business? Round lot or a multiple of 100 shares. Okay, or an odd lot. Odd yan, O. Odd lot, okay, or an odd lot that is less than okay. Ayan, so or less than, ayan, wait lang. Less than, okay. Less than 100 shares, okay. So the commission rate or round lot is generally a bit lower than an odd lot. Okay, example natin. You purchase 250 shares of AOS Incorporated common stock at 3,500 pesos per share. A few months later, you sell the shares at 4,000 pesos. Your stockbroker charges 3% commission on round lots and 4% on odd lots. So calculate the A, total cost, B, the proceeds, and for C, the gain or loss on the transaction. Okay, so let us identify the given. So we have the price per share 3,500, number of shares 250, commission rate on round lots 60%, for odd lots is 4%. Okay, so for letter A, we have the cost of purchasing stock. Okay, yan. So for computing this one, we have the cost of shares, which is equal to the price per share times the number of shares. So So this is equal to 3,500 times 250. So this is now equal to 875,000 pesos. And the broker's commission, sorry. So, ilipat lang natin. Kaya this is equal to so, yan. And for the broker's commission, that is the cost of shares and the commission rate. Okay? And for the round lot commission, that is equal to 50 shares, okay, times 3,500 times 0.03. Kaya this is equal to 21,000 pesos. And for the odd lot commission, so it has, sorry, this is 200. So this is 50 shares, okay? 50 shares times 3,500 and the commission rate, which is 0.04. So this is equal to 7,000 pesos. Kaya yung broker's commission, that is now equal to 21,000 plus 7,000. Kaya that is now equal to 28,000 pesos. So the total cost is now equal to 875,000 plus 28,000. Okay, so this is now equal to 903,000 pesos. Okay, so the total cost of 250 shares of common stock is 903,000 pesos. Okay, another one is the proceeds from selling stock. Okay, so proceeds from selling stock. So we have the value of shares. So this is 4,000 times 250 equals to 1 million. Okay, so this is now equal to 1 million pesos. And the broker's commission. So we have to get first the round lot commission. So it has 200 shares times 4,000 times the commission rate. So this is equal to 24,000 pesos. And for the round odd lot commission, which has 50 shares times 4,000 times the commission rate, so this is equal to 8,000 pesos. So the broker's commission is now 24,000 plus 8,000 is equal to 32,000 pesos. Okay? So the proceeds is equal to 1 million minus, so minus pala yan, 32,000. Okay? So this is now equal to 968,000 pesos. Okay? So the proceeds on common stock is 968,000 pesos. Okay? Ayan. And we have the gain or loss on the transaction. So this is the formula. All we have to do is to get the difference. So 968,000 pesos minus 903,000 pesos. So this is equal to 65,000 pesos. So the transaction gain is 65,000 pesos. Next is the current yield of bond. Okay, so the current yield of bond is computed by dividing the annual interest by the purchase price of bond. So this is the formula that we're going to use. Okay? Current yield is equal to annual interest over price of bond. Okay, example. What is the current yield of a bond whose face value is 14,500 and pays a yearly interest of 12% if purchased at face value and 13,920 pesos? Okay, so when the price of bond is 14,000 pesos, the current yield will be, so this is 0.12 times 14,500 over 14,500. Okay, so the current yield is 12%. And when the price of bond is 13,920, what's the current yield? So 0.12 times 14,500 over 13,920, this is equal to 12.5%. All right? And we have the price of a bond based on general method. Okay, so the same with stocks. When bonds are sold or bought, charge is commonly added to the price of the bond. Okay, so we have the following variables that will be in our mathematical treatments of bond. B, the redemption value of a bond. F, face value or par value of the bond. P, the price of a bond. R, rate bond rate. K, coupon payment. J, nominal interest rate. M, the number of conversion per year. T, the time period or term of the loan or investment. And B, periodic bond interest rate. And I, wait lang. This is letter I na small. Okay, maliit. Periodic interest rate. So we've been using this one. Yeah. Yeah, we already used these variables in our previous lesson. Okay. Example. In computing, the price of bond based on general method, the regular or periodic interest payment from the bond will be coupon payment equals the face value times periodic bond interest rate, or K equals to FB. Okay, yan yung variables na nagamit. Okay, example. At 3,200 pesos at 9% bond pays coupons quarterly and will be redeemed on July 7, 2014. Find the price if the bond is bought on July 7, 2010 to yield 8% compounded quarterly if A, the bond is redeemed at par, B, if the bond is redeemable at 110%. Okay? So, yung mga events natin, we have the redemption value of bond, 3,200. The time is 4 years. The nominal interest rate, 8%. The number of conversion per year is 4 kasi quarterly siya. And then, yung N natin, the number of payment, 16. The bond rate is 9%. Another one is the periodic bond interest rate, okay, 0.0225. And then the periodic interest rate, which is 0.02. All right. So for letter A, the redemption value is 3,200 times 0.0225. Okay. Wait lang. Ayusin natin. 225. Okay. So this is equal to 72 pesos. Okay. And then the coupon payments, wait lang. Ayan. So the coupon payments is 72. And then we have the price of the bond. So using this formula, so just substitute lang natin 3,200 times 1 plus 0.02 raised to negative 16 plus yung coupon payment na 72 yung nakuha natin. 1 minus 1 plus 0.02 raised to negative 16 over 0.02. Okay? So this is equal now to 3,200 times 1.02 raised to negative 16 plus 72 times 1 minus 1.02 raised to negative 16 over 0.02. Okay? So this is equal to 3,200 times, so just take every digits, okay? Magra-round off lang tayo doon sa final answer. Tuloy natin dito. So this is equal to 2,331.0266604 plus 977.5950706. Okay. So this is equal to 3,308.62167. So this is now equal to 3,308 pesos and 62 centavos. So that is the price of the bond to yield 8%. Another one, at 110% redemption means, okay, so this is 3,520 times 1 plus 0.02 raised to negative 16 plus the coupon payment na 72 . So 1 minus 1 plus 0.02 negative 16. Okay? Over 0.02. And this is equal to, so tuloy lang natin yung calculations natin. You can use your calculator. Okay? So 3,520. 3,520 times 0.72843137 plus 72 times 13.57770931. Okay? So, tuloy na lang natin dito. 2,564.129264 plus 977.5950706. Okay. So the total is 3,541 pesos and 72 centavos. So that is the price of the bond. Next. Computing the price of a bond based on premium method. Okay. So dito naman, if a bond is sold for more than its par value or the bond interest is higher than the current market rate, it is said to be selling at premium. Okay, so this occurs during period when prevailing interest rates are declining. Okay, so this premium method is used when the bond rate is less than investment rate. Okay, example, an 8,000 pesos at 9% bond with monthly coupon, but with bi-monthly coupons will be redeemed at the end of 5 years. Determine the price to yield 6%. Sorry. Okay, so we have the given. So ano ba yung mga given natin? Yan. So we have the face value na 8,000. The time is 5 years. The nominal interest rate is 6%. The number of conversion per year is 6 kasi bi-monthly. And then the number of payments, which is 30. And then the bond rate is 9%. The periodic bond interest rate is 0.015. Okay, and then the periodic interest rate 0.01. Okay, so the redemption value, wait lang. So the redemption value, kunin muna natin yung coupon payment, di ba? So this is equal to 8,000 times 0.015. So this is equal to 120 pesos. That is the redemption value. So we're going to use this formula to find for the price of the bond. Okay. So this is 8,000 plus 120 minus 8,000 times 0.01. Okay. This is 1 minus the quantity of 1 plus 0.01 raised to negative 30. Okay. Over 0.01. Next. 8,000 plus, this is now equal to 40. Next is 1 minus 1.01 raised to negative 30 over 0.01. Okay. So, tuloy lang natin yung calculations natin. So, the value of this one inside the bracket is 25.80770822. Okay, so 8,000 plus 1,032.308,329. Okay, so this is now equal to 9,032 pesos and 31 centavos. So that is the price of a bond. Okay, and computing the price of a bond based on discount method. Yan. So if a bond is sold for less than its par value or the bond base may not be as high as the current market, it is said to be selling at a discount. So this occurs during periods when prevailing interest rates are rising. So this premium method is used when the bond rate is greater than investment rate. Okay, example. A 7,000 pesos at 10% bond with quarterly coupons will be redeemed at the end of 3 years. Determine the price to yield 12%. Okay, so what is the price to yield 12%? So we have the following given. The face value is 7,000. Time for 3 years, nominal interest rate 12%. And then number of conversion per year is 4. The number of payment is 12. Yung N natin and then the bond rate is 10%, and then the periodic interest rate 0.025. Okay, and of course, the periodic interest rate. Periodic bond yung B. Okay, so we have the redemption. So this is 7,000 times 0.25. So this is equal to 175 pesos. Okay. So applying the formula to determine the price to yield 12%. Okay. Ayan. So the face value of course is 7,000. So 7,000 times 0.03 minus 175. That's 1. So 1 plus 0.03 negative 12. Okay? Over 0.03. So next, so 7,000 minus 210 minus 175. 1.03 raised to negative 12. 12 yan, 12, 12, sorry. Over 0.03. Okay, so dito na lang. Tuloy natin. So this is 7,000 minus 35 times, so the value yung nasa loob ng bracket is 9.954003994. So this is now equal to 7,000 minus 348.3901,398. Okay, so this is now 6,651 pesos and 61 centavos. Okay? All right. So that ends our discussion for stocks and bonds. So I hope na naintindihan ninyo yung differences ng stocks and bonds. Okay? And of course, on how to compute. And this is your activity for our final week. Okay? So all you have to do is to answer the following problem. So yan, tatlo lang na problem. Please read, understand, and analyze. So, ayan.
So for your activity, answer activity 1, total of 3 items. So thank you once again, everyone. And thank you, Ms. April Belaras, for that video discussion. So thank you once again and God bless.